As you may or may not know, I'm dyslexic. And therefore, getting things in and out is tough, reading and especially writing. So for many years, I'd been using Drag and Dictate, and it's a piece of software. I still remember the first time I had to build a computer to get it to work. I had to buy this special board and upgrade everything in my computer to get it to work. And my mother still remembers when I shouted down, "Oh my goodness, it understands me." That was a great breakthrough in my life where I could actually talk to something and it would actually work. Now, that's pretty much a standard process nowadays, and everyone kind of expects that to happen. You've got a phone, and it's been a great boon to me. But interestingly enough, after several iterations, Drag and Dictate decided not to continue to support the Mac version of their software. They're still doing it in PC, and lots of people like it, but the Mac version. And let me tell you, that was a huge panic for me. I didn't know anything about how I was going to do that. I actually contemplated that I'd have to move the entire company back to PC. And if you know anything about our company, there's kind of a ongoing war between the PC side of the company and the Mac side of the company. It's all in good-natured fun most of the time. Occasionally we draw someone from the dark side onto the light side, but that's neither here nor there. But what was interesting to me was I'm like, okay, I can do some research and figure out what the next best option is. So I went on to all the voice recognition experts, and I went on to all of the people who I thought, and I went onto YouTube looking for a replacement for Drag and Dictate, and there wasn't any. And I started getting panicky or more panicky and looking for videos and looking for alternate solutions, and the alternate solutions weren't that great and they weren't very active, and I just couldn't believe that the rich Mac ecosystem didn't have a voice recognition system in it. It was just astounding to me that that was going to be something that didn't exist. Well, it turns out, and some people are probably smiling at this because I didn't know it at the time, it turns out that embedded in the OS of Mac is a voice recognition system that works at about 80%, which is really all that I can ask for. But here's the bias. All of the experts were talking about all of the new things that were coming out, all the videos were coming up, all the blog posts, everything was written because everyone assumed that everyone else knew that. And here I was literally panicking, thinking I was going to have to move my entire system and everything I do back to a PC because there was one critical tool that I didn't have. Your expertise is your biggest liability in understanding your customer. You've forgotten what it feels like to be desperately searching for these answers. While you're thinking about the advanced strategies, your customers are still struggling with the basics that seem obvious to you now. Experts who rely on their past experiences rather than the current customer feedback miss so many sales opportunities. Your journey to mastery has erased your ability to understand your customers' current struggles. Every time you think you used to be just like them, you're actually moving them further away from understanding their needs. I can't tell you how many people come to me and goes, well, I am the customer base. And in all reality, if you're actually teaching it, you're not. You don't remember what it was like to be struggling through these things. All of these people teaching exactly how to use voice recognition on a Mac never bothered to either tell me, or they're selling something, never bothered because they didn't want me to know, that there was a simple solution on there. We went through this great struggle and did not do anything about it. We've been through the struggles and now we've passed them, and we've forgotten how hard and how panicky it was to be that way. That, oh my goodness, this may not be something that I can do. And so therefore, when you start to become and start putting out content, you have to listen to very carefully what's being said by everyone else. You have to be listening to your customers as they're coming in. What are the things that are keeping them up at night? What are the things that are scaring them? What are the things that they're unsure about? What are the things they're not willing to actually admit to, but are looking for the answers to? All of those are content gold for you. And if you're looking for the beginning, the start of this information, or the start of this conversation, start with the simplest things you can. The things that you think are incredibly easy to understand and incredibly easy to consume, and therefore giving them a point of presence. If there was someone who said, hey, here's exactly how you start up voice recognition on the Mac, and here are the 3 best ways of doing it, I would have followed them forever because they were going to solve a problem that I have and I need every day. Now, I'm probably a small micro minority, but that's a group of people that will really appreciate and understand that micro minority and would be constant followers and a good place to start. Every time I hear the experts wanting to talk about they're their customer, I have to smile because they've forgotten so much. I'm really fascinated lately about unconscious competency, the things that you know the most about, and you've almost forgotten how to do it. It's like driving your car or driving a place you go all the time. It's unconscious competency. I'm not sure it's a great idea when we talk about driving, but if you think about it, you've been driving along and all of a sudden you realize you're where you're supposed to be. Or better yet, you're driving somewhere and it's close to where you're supposed to be and you end up at the place you usually go. Done that too. But that kind of competency is not something we think about anymore. But if you sit down and for me, it's driving to my son's school. If you sit down and try and map out how you're doing it just by writing out a list, you may not be able to do it because you've done it so often. But if you have to teach it to someone else, that becomes very important. Now, I know GPS takes care of that, but look at that as an example. Look at that in your business as something that you don't have to teach anymore. You know it to the rote degree, and your expertise is so good that you don't have to worry about that. A lot of what you'll find, especially if you do it over and over again, talking to video, dealing with clients, all of that social media stuff that used to be very difficult for you becomes easier and easier. And what's interesting is as it becomes easier and easier, it becomes rote and you don't have to think about it. It's just in your head. You start moving from one to the other. Now, in the beginning, you probably needed a script and reading that script, and less you're going to have to worry about it. The more and more videos you do, the more and more practice you get in something. And what's more interesting, what I find fascinating, is our brain starts to understand it at a very visceral level. One of the fascinating things about actors, especially Shakespearean actors, who've engrossed themselves in a play for many months and probably have been reading it over and over and reading other plays by Shakespeare, sometimes they slip up. Sometimes they miss the script, and they will talk in iambic pentameter and make up something. Your brain will make something up to fit within that, which will work perfectly well. And it's not that they had to intentionally think about it and write it down like the bard did. They actually come up with it on their own. Their brain has set that up. But were they able to teach that? That would be very difficult. So we have this unconscious competency that we just take for granted that we need to delve into and understand, because you're not the customer. You're not the person who's staying up at night worried about what's going on. You have other worries, but they're worried about the very fundamental things. And they're being stopped not by the grand unification theory. They're being stopped because they don't know what kind of camera they should be using for video, what kind of tool they should be using for what you're doing, what they should be saying in front of that client or customer. What you can help them with is not only can you help them with a grand unified theory, but you can also tell them that, wearing a certain color in videos is okay. Or here's how you set up your voice recognition system so that you can write a book, so that you can get knowledge, so that I can teach you how to actually publish it. All of those steps stop people, and they'll stop your customers from being your customers, even before they know they need it, because it's just too overwhelming. It's too much to learn. I don't know how to do that. I don't know what the quick steps are. I don't know how to create that. And that powerful possibility gives you the opportunity to truly succeed over a period of time by identifying and recognizing you are no longer the customer, going out and talking to them and understanding what their issues are, and remembering what your real struggles were and creating solutions for those real struggles. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to come up with 3 or 4 of the things that you struggled the most with in the beginning. Do you remember those late nights that you were really worried about? Do you remember those pain points that you actually had that you solved? Come up and do some good social around that. Do some free work around that to draw people in, to draw them in and get them to like, know, and love you before you offer them something. Give them the solutions with the problems they're having, because they're always going to want more. So make a list of those, and then go out and listen to your customers and find out what their real challenges are, what their issues are, what their needs are, so that you can become the expert in that area. As a way of continuing our conversation, can you put one of your things that you had challenges with in the comments? What was the thing that really held you up that you now laugh about? For example, not having a voice recognition system, I always find very funny now. Put that in and let's continue the conversation. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode on the Strategy Session, where we take your business from stuck to unstoppable. Here's another video I think you'd enjoy. If you found these insights valuable, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell for notifications on our latest videos. Want to transform your business with expert strategies? Schedule your strategy session today by clicking the link in the description below. Remember, you're not just marketing, you're making history with Venture Gained. See you in the next video.